Chapter 31. Boiler is back. Dam looks inside the body bag for a very long time. The cleaning lady's eyes are blank. Then the cleaning lady's eyes looks down as and says, "Just want to give this back to you. Thanks for lending it to me." The cleaning lady simply responds, "No problem." Anne puts the cell phone on the dashboard and takes the key from the cleaning lady's right hand. Then, Anne opens the door, but is having trouble doing so. He looks up from the lock and says, "Sorry, my bad hand here." Anne is still having trouble opening the door. Finally, he gets the door to open and gets out of the vehicle. He then closes the door. Anne is whistling while walking towards the trunk as he says, "Aha! Lucky me." Anne is smiling while he is oblivious of what's happening behind him. Soon, Dam's vehicle drives away, leaving Anne on the deserted street. Anne suddenly looks behind to see Dam's vehicle driving away and starts running after it. "Hey!" Anne shouts out loud and starts running after the vehicle. "You fucking bitch!" Anne shouts again, still running after Dam's vehicle. Soon, the vehicle drives far away from Anne. "Fucking cunt!" Anne yells at the vehicle's direction, while it drives away in the night until it's no more in his sight. "Hag! You fucking hag! Hag!" Anne keeps yelling as he looks furious and vicious. "That girl left you," a homeless old man says. Anne's right eye starts twitching, while he turns his body from the right, looking at the homeless old man. The homeless old man is sitting on a flat blanket in the middle of the sidewalk, and Anne shouts at him, "Fuck you!" Anne goes up to the homeless old man and starts to punch him with his left hand. He seems in a fit as he keeps throwing punches at the homeless old man, while shouting, "Fuck you, you fucking loser!" Anne keeps punching the homeless old man numerous times, while the homeless old man begs and whimpers, "Ow! Ow! Please! Stop!" Anne ignores the homeless old man's begging and is still punching him. Blood starts oozing from the homeless old man's face, and Anne finally stops punching him. But soon, he starts kicking him. Blood appears from the homeless old man's gut and starts staining his shirt. Anne finally stops kicking the homeless old man, looks down upon him, and says, "That's what you get, you fucking loser." The homeless old man is lying on his crumpled blanket and crying while covering in blood. He is sobbing along with wincing in pain. "Ow!" Anne looks at him and says, "Go fuck yourself, you fucking faggot." Anne walks away from the homeless old man, leaving him sobbing and whimpering on the ground as he cries quietly, "Mama, please help! Mama!" Anne is walking on the sidewalk. He sees Boiler standing in front of him. He's clapping his hands while smiling at him. Suddenly, Boiler speaks up, saying, "Wow, Anne, you beating up a pathetic loser almost half to death. You got to be real proud of yourself?" Anne walks past Boiler without looking at him. Boiler looks at Anne while he's gone. Anne is walking in a dark alley. His head is cast down as he stares at the ground while walking. In front of the left side of Anne, Boiler is resting his back against the brick walk. Boiler looks at him and says, "You failed to get my money on time?" You know what that means? Boiler is still smiling at Tars, while Anne still ignores Boiler and decides to walk past him. Anne walks by a dumpster can in front of his left side. Boiler is now sitting on top of a dumpster. His legs are moving up and down on the dumpster can. He looks at Anne again and says, "So, be paranoid?" Anne ignores and walks past Boiler, who is still sitting on top of the dumpster can. Anne walks past a rusty, greasy fire escape ladder in front of his left side. This time, Boiler is standing on one of the steps of the fire escape ladder. He is staring at Dam as he says, "Be nervous." Anne ignores him again and walks past Boiler on the fire escape's ladders. Anne walks by a broken-down chair couch in front of his left side when he sees Boiler sitting on the right side on the couch, as he says, "Be afraid." Anne ignores and walks ahead Boiler, sitting on the side of chair couch. Anne walks past an old dirty mattress in front of his left side. Boiler is lounging around on the mattress. His right hand is placed beneath his right upper head, and he says, "Be surprised." Anne ignores and walks past the mattress where Boiler is perched. Ann walks past a thick black window in front of his left side. A black figure is in the window that says, "Or be ready." Ann ignores and walks past the black figure Boiler. Ann is now walking past a little black cat in front of his left side. He sees Boiler's presence in the cat as the cat Boiler says, "To accept." Ann ignores and walks past the cat Boiler. Suddenly, Ann stops walking. In front of Ann, there is Boiler, standing 5 feet away from him. He looks back at Ann and says, "To get melted away." Ann slowly looks up to Boiler's face and says, "You are not real. You're just a figment of my imagination. This happened the same way when I was a kid, thinking about Boiler. But this time, it's more brutal. Or maybe I just have schizophrenia?" Boiler looks at him and steps back a little, saying, "Oh, I'm real, and if I'm not real, how can I do this?" Water splashes on the top of Ann's head. Ann screams and runs towards Boiler. Meanwhile, Boiler steps aside from the right, while Ann runs towards him, as Boiler says, "You see? I told you, you can't run forever." From the top where Ann is standing, a man near the window puts his right fingers near his mouth, looking shocked. Then he yells, "Sorry! I thought no one was here. I'm really sorry, sir. If you come back, I'll give you money." The window man pulls out some money from his pants' right pocket and throws it down to the ally before saying, "It was just hot soup, just all." Ann is still running in the ally. His face has a worried look and is covered in sweat. When Ann makes it out of the ally, he stops in the middle of the road and looks confused. Suddenly, he notices something. Ann's eyes are slowly looking at the left and sees all the policemen in riot gear holding riot shields at a 300 feet distance from him. Then, Ann's eyes are slowly looking at the right and now sees hockey fans holding bats, torturous, Molotov, broken hockey sticks, busted pine, long, sharp-pointing objects at 301 feet distance from him. Ann's eyes keep shifting from left to right. From behind the riot cops holding the shields, one of them puts a megaphone near his mouth and loudly says, "This is your last chance. Put your hands up." Ann puts his left hand up when the riot cop captain says again loudly, "All of you, put your hands up." A mean fan says, "Fuck you." One of the fans throws a Molotov at the riot cop. The Molotov lands near Ann's right foot. Ann yells when the Molotov stops near his foot, "Jesus!" The riot cop captain puts down the megaphone from his mouth and goes to a riot cop next to his right and says, "They are not responding. Throw in the tear gas and attack." The other riot cop responds, "Yes, sir." The riot cops start to put on a gas mask. Ann looks at the riot cops while they're putting on their gas mask. Boiler is next to Ann's left, and he says, "Huh? I wonder why they're putting on their masks." Ann looks at Boiler, but he has already disappeared. He then hears Boiler's voice again as he says, "You better get out of here while you can." Boiler is now standing on Ann's right side. Ann looks at him and asks, "Is there a way out?" Boiler responds, "How the fuck should I know?" Boiler turns around and sees the hockey fans. Then he exclaims, "Oh my God!" Ann looks puzzled at Boiler as he asks, "What?" Boiler says, "The fans have turned into your worst nightmare." Ann turns around and sees all the hockey fans, while Boiler says from beside, "Which is me." All the hockey fans have Boiler's face on them, while Ann looks confused and says, "I wonder, where's the real Boiler?" Boiler goes next to Ann's right ear and whispers, "He's here." Ann's eyes go big. Suddenly, 2 tear gas shells land from both sides, at Ann's feet. Ann looks at the tear gas shells, while smoke starts appearing from them. Ann questions, "Tear gas?" The hockey fans start to growl at the riot cops. All the riot cops are wearing gas masks, while the riot cop captain says, "Everyone ready?" The riot cop captain looks behind him to see that all the riot cops are ready. The riot cop captain says, "Enter formation." The hockey fans start to charge at Ann. Soon, smoke gets out of its shell, making Ann invisible, while the crazy fans shout, "Let's get those winners." Another crazy fan shouts, "And have a rematch!" The whole area is filled with smoke. Ann can't see a thing. The riot cops are still standing at their location as the riot cop captain shouts, "Charge!" The riot cops are charging at Anne. The riot cops and the hockey fans are almost near Anne's position. Suddenly, music starts to play, and Anne says, "Oh no, I'm hearing Boiler's favorite song." The song is called "Greased Lightnin'" by John Travolta and Jeff Conaway. Anne quickly closes his eyes. Everyone is attacking each other in the tear gas smoke. A fan tackles Anne to the ground. The fan is punching Anne numerous times. The mental case fan shouts vigorously, "We want a rematch!" He is still punching him. A riot cop goes up to them and squat his legs. He uses a nightstick to hit the fan on Anne. The fan gets off of Anne and runs away. Then the riot cop starts hitting Anne on the ground, while Anne winces and shouts, "Ow, ow, ow! I wasn't a part of this!" Another fan goes up and punches the riot cop who was beating, and the punch makes the riot cop stand up. He turns around and is now hitting the fan who punched him. Anne stands up and looks at both ways before putting his left arm in front of himself to protect his face, while he slowly walks straight down. When Anne is walking, he sees two riot cops in front of his left side, using their nightstick to beat a fan on the ground. The fan is using his arms to protect his face. Anne squeaks a little for that fan, but then he stops and sees a female fan in front of his left, charging a riot cop who's holding a riot shield. The riot cop uses his shield to push the female fan out of his way. The female fan yells when she gets pushed by the shield. In front of Anne's right, a fan and riot cop are holding each other while spinning around and move to the left. Coming out to the left again is a fan who's holding a Molotov in his right hand. The fan throws the Molotov and starts laughing. Then, he starts to run back to the left. A riot cop comes up in front of Anne's right, holding a shotgun in his right hand. Suddenly, that riot cop cocks his gun and walks past Anne and goes to the left as well. Anne looks very surprised when he sees the riot cop with the shotgun and starts walking straight again. A loud bang is coming from Anne's right again. He stops again and sees a fan wearing a hockey helmet while holding a chainsaw in front of his left again. The helmet fan is laughing and twitching his head around while he's going towards the other side of the smoke from Anne's right. A riot cop rides a horse while dragging a screaming fan with rope around his left foot. He rides across in front of Anne's right. Anne looks at the horse from his right and now sees a riot cop taking off his gas mask and showing his face. But what shocks Anne is that he has Boiler's face. The figure with Boiler, her riot cop's face, charges at Anne, but falls to the ground on his face. Anne looks down at the Boiler riot cop's face in between himself. When Anne looks back up, he sees Boiler on his right, smiling at him, while his right index finger is pointing at him. Anne stops looking at Boiler and turns his head to the left. On Anne's left, a little boy is selling cookies to him. Anne smiles and passes by the little boy. In front of Anne's right, he looks at a fat lady with a beard, who is staring at him. Anne walks past the fat, bearded lady. Anne stops and sees a hipster couple sitting on the ground with legs crossed and typing on his laptop in front of his left. Anne looks annoyed at the hipster and walks past him as well. On Anne's right, he sees a T-bird pulling out his right hand and gives him an OK hand symbol, while Anne gives the T-bird a thumbs up with his left hand and walks ahead of him. Near the front of Anne's left, a guy wearing a cowboy hat is riding a mechanical bull. Anne looks confused and walks past the mechanical bull. When as Anne is walking, a female gymnast does multiple backflips from behind Anne's right. The gymnast passes by Anne. He stops and gets spooked when the gymnast is walking by him. The gymnast does a big jump up and starts twirling around in the air. When Anne is standing, a unicycle rides by Anne's right, and he looks a little irritated when the cyclist passes by him. When Anne looks at his left again, he sees a sick junkie couple standing in front of him. One of the junkies is wearing a dirty suit while holding an Ingram Mac 10 in his right hand, waving the tip near the left side of his lips and chin. Anne smiles at the couple and walks by them. On Anne's right, he stops again and looks at a young, grumpy criminal man glaring at him. Anne looks intimidated and walks past the criminal as fast as he can. Walking in front of Anne's right is a well-dressed businessman with sunglasses, wearing a black suit with no tie, and walking to the other side of the smoke while smoking a cigarette and puffing out the smoke. Anne holds still when the well-dressed man walks by him. Anne looks in front of his left to see a happy office worker grinning at him while he is holding a pen in his right hand, and his right index and thumb are sliding up and down on the pen. Anne looks very creeped out, looking at the happy office worker. Nonetheless, Anne smiles at him while politely avoiding him and keeps walking straight down. When Anne is walking, there is a man in black behind his right side, wearing a half-face mask. He walks through the other side of the smoke while his right hand is whirling a big blade around. Someone trips Anne and pushes him down on the concrete road. Anne is crawling on the road while he's crawling. Ayrton is sitting on a big rock and pointing at him. He is using his right hand to aim and shoot at Anne while making a popping noise. Anne slowly starts to stand up. Anne asks, "What is this smoke made out of?" "Acid?" Anne is almost out of the scrapping. Behind him, the smoke slowly starts to vanish. The riot cops and the hockey fans are still fighting with one another. When Anne is gone, everyone starts dancing to the song. Everyone is flattened and moving their right fingers slowly to the left. Then they all make a fist and move it up in the air and down to the right and back in the air and back to the right. Now their left hand is flattened and moving their fingers to the right, and make a fist and move it up in the air and back down to the left and up in the air again. Now everyone is thrusting. Finally, everyone stops, including the music. Anne, he is walking in the middle of the road, while Boiler is lying on the street bench. His head sits up and is looking at Anne as he is walking by him. Boiler looks at him and says, "Where are you going, Anne?" Anne ignores Boiler, while Boiler stands up from the bench and catches up to Anne. Boiler is next to Anne's left when he asks, again, "Going home?" Anne still ignores Boiler, but he doesn't stop asking questions as he throws another question his way. "Got another way of getting the money?" Anne ignores him again, but Boiler asks, "You're going to accept it?" Anne still ignores him. Boiler says, "You gonna fight me?" Anne doesn't respond, but Boiler is being persistent as he asks again, "Or you're going to puss out?" Anne looks at Boiler while he's walking, as Boiler says, "So, that's it? You gonna puss out like a little bitch? God, you're pathetic. I hope I don't find you and melt you for real." Anne says, "When I get out of here, I'll pray to God that I stop seeing things and you get out of my head. Start over." Boiler responds, "Better watch out for that hole." Anne yells and falls inside a hole. A loud splashing sound comes from the hole where Anne has just slipped. Boiler stands near the hole, and his head goes a little closer to the hole before he shouts, "Looks like you landed in a sewer hole." Anne yells back from inside the hole, "No! Fucking shit!" Boiler shouts back at him, "Are you okay, my friend?" Anne yells his response, "Landed in some sewer water. God damn it. It's gross. It smells awful. And the shit down here tastes like cottage cheese, rotten eggs, and sauerkraut. But I'm okay." Boiler shouts out loud, "I see some ladders in the well. Can you manage to climb it up?" "I think so. Just got to get my hands at the end of the ladder and—" Anne yells. Another loud splash occurs inside the hole. Then Anne yells, "Yeah, I got the ladders." The sounds of Anne struggling to climb comes outside along with Anne's voice as he says, "Oh shit!" There's yet another loud splashing inside the hole. Boiler looks straight and smiles at something, while Anne yells, "Can you let me know when someone is calm?